These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. When it comes to online college, Southern New Hampshire University is so good, it's scary. Listen, the facts don't lie. SNHU has degree programs that fit your goals, online classes that fit your life, and real support at every step. And if that wasn't enough, they've got some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. This is an airtight case, you guys. Visit snhu.edu/morbid to get started. That's snhu.edu/morbid. Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, weirdos. I'm Alaina.
I'm Ash.
And this is Morbid.
In the morning,
in the AM.
I feel like it's just become customary at this point to tell you what time it is and what day it is. So it is.
Just so you get the feel.
Okay, so I should probably know what day it is before I inform you. It's Thursday, right?
It is Thursday.
Okay.
It is Thursday, the end of the week, which doesn't mean anything anymore. So there's that.
All the weeks are the same.
But we don't really have a whole lot to chat about beforehand. Mainly, I just want to let you know that you might have seen the title of this and been like, wait a second.
They did that.
Did they already do that?
Why'd they do that again?
So we're covering today Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm. And we did cover this a long time ago.
This was our early underwater scuba days.
This was also when we were doing actual mini morbids where they were like short.
Yeah, this episode was like a half hour, 45 minutes.
Looked back on, so I've been looking, like I've mentioned in other episodes, I've been looking back on the research and like the quality, the sound quality of the episodes just to remaster some. And I looked at this one and I was like, there's like 4 pages of research on this. And I was like, that's not enough. So I just happened to start, I was like, I'm going to start looking into it because I do like this case a lot. And there was new stuff that had come up. And there was all kinds of things that I just hadn't touched upon in the original one. So I was like, you know what?
We were still getting our research.
I can do this better.
Hats on.
I can do this better. And with the new stuff that has come out, I think it's important to update it.
Hell yeah.
So instead of just putting a little update, we figured scrap it, do the episode over again because I can do it better.
Let's do it.
Always improving. So without further ado, we're going to talk about who put Bella in the Wych Elm.
To be honest, I only remember like small details from this. So
you
I'm
remember
ready.
a tree.
I remember a wych elm.
A wych elm,
And I remember little kids finding her, yeah.
well, like teens.
Yeah, teens.
So yeah. So little kids, yeah.
Yeah, essentially the same thing.
So this takes place on April 18th, 1943. 4 local boys named Robert Hart, Thomas Willits, Bob Farmer, and Fred Payne were poaching rabbits and trying to catch birds in Hagley Wood.
Alrighty.
And this is located in Worcestershire, England.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce. There you go.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. So this place was part of the Hagley estate belonging to Lord Cobham near Wychbury Hill.
Hell yeah.
You know the place, right?
I've been there, actually.
We're Americans. We don't know anything about this, but I hope I'm saying it all right.
I bet you are.
When they came across this crazy looking tree, which is referred to as a wych elm.
Right.
The tree itself is like, we'll post a photo of it because it's definitely like an odd tree. Or at least odd to me. It's like got a big bulbous bottom to it, and then it's got all these like crazy spikes coming out of it.
Because it's cursed.
It looks like a wych elm. Like it looks like that's what it would be called.
Yeah.
Like a witch tree.
It's a spooky tree.
It's definitely spooky. Now, Thomas Willits was 17, Bob Farmer and Robert Hart were 15, and Fred Payne was 14.
Yeah, see, 15, 14 equals little kid.
Sure, they're teens. Either way.
Sure.
Either way. Now, before I get really into this, I just want to mention there are 2 books on this that I originally did not know about when I first did my research, like long ago.
Alaina didn't know about a book?
I know, it's insane. And there are 2 books, they're volume 1 and 2, called Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm. They're, the author is Alex Merrill. And actually, it's a father-son team who did these 2 books.
Oh,
and
cool.
Alex Merrill is his 15-year-old son who helped him write this book and do all the investigation, but he put his name on the book.
Oh.
Which I think is so cool.
That is cool.
That he like gave him the
That's
proper credit.
adorable.
And they're really cool. So I recommend you go check it out because they went back. One of the things we'll see with this case is that a lot of the original documents are very difficult to find. Things have been lost. Things were misinterpreted. There's just a lot of shit going on here.
The 40s.
But they went back and really investigated this. They looked at all the old autopsy reports. In the book itself, they have the actual like text of the autopsy reports and all the inquests, all
That's
the
cool.
reporting, all the investigations. So it's really interesting. And there's a ton of detail that I'm not going to put in here that I think you should check out those books and see. So these kids were actually on their way home when they had passed Hagley Wood, and when they saw it, they were like, I bet there's some stuff because I guess bird poaching is like taking eggs
And poaching
out
them?
of like nests.
Like stealing?
Yeah, there's different like things about what they were actually doing. I think they were up to no good.
Yeah,
They were doing something that apparently is illegal to do on like,
Certain
private
property.
land and stuff.
They were kidnapping birds.
They were being teens.
That's fooked.
So when they walked by this, they were like, oh, I bet there's a lot of stuff to do in there. So they got to try. So one of them, I believe it was Bob Farmer by all accounts, he saw a blackbird leave this big hole in a tree.
Spooky.
And he followed because he was like, ooh, what's in there? It's got to be a nest in there. So he followed. And when he looked, he said, you know what? I'm going to look in here, but it's like dark in here. So he said, you guys go look in these other trees that are nearby and see if you see anything. So Robert Hart looked into an old elm tree. And he said immediately he looked into this big hole in the tree. And he said he thought he saw an animal skull, but he couldn't get a good look at it. Mm-hmm. But he was like, oh, cool. There's an animal skull in there. I want to see it. So he got the other boys to help him. And they ended up using a stick to like somehow kind of like lift it up, like stick it into the eyeball of the skull and then just like lift it up. And this cavity was pretty deep. It was like 3 feet deep. So after moving it a bit, they could see that this was clearly not an animal skull. This was a human skull. So they were able to tell this, one, because the look of a human skull, but 2, it had a clump of human hair on one side of it.
Oh my God, that freaks me the fuck
and
out.
it had very human teeth, like a full set of human teeth.
Because teeth take a while to go away, to disintegrate, right?
They don't go away.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Never?
they stay in your head.
Huh.
Yeah. But it had a full set of teeth. And
Why don't they ever
human
go away?
teeth. They're just what they're made of.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Because like your bones, that would be a long, 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 long time for anything to happen to them.
Yeah. Fossils, man.
Wow. AM Ash. So he realized that he had found a full human skull. So they put the skull back into the tree, and then they ran into Wallescote into town and ran into Donald Payne, who was Fred's older brother. And when they ran into him, they dragged him back into the Hagley Wood, and they showed him the tree.
This is like some Stand By Me shit.
It certainly is. They were like, what the...
They ran into Ace and his squad.
Because one of the issues was they were like, we're not supposed to be in here. Like, and we're doing shit that we're going to get in trouble for. So like, what do? We just found something really bad, but like, do we tell anyone?
Like, older brother, please help.
Exactly. So they brought Donald back. Donald said he looked into the tree. He saw what they saw. He also saw a green bottle. He saw shoes, and he saw more bones inside the cavity.
Freaky.
But again, they were on this land illegally. So they were like, what do we do? So Farmer put the skull back into the tree again, and all of them returned home without mentioning anything to anybody.
I would be so scared that I would be like cursed from like picking up the skull.
Well, Thomas Willits was on your vibe because it didn't take him long before he felt very guilty about leaving that.
Yeah.
And he immediately told his parents that night about it. He was like, I need to tell you what I did and what I saw.
Because if not, like, who's to say that that lady's spirit didn't like
Well, like, haunt
intertwine
you.
in your fingers and haunt you?
It's like you picked it up.
Yeah, you got it.
You got it. And so his parents were like, oh, okay, Thomas,
Thanks for that.
let's bring you. So they brought him to the Lye police station where they told Sergeant Charles Lambourne about this entire ordeal. So they made a plan to go the next day to go through it because this was at night and this was late at night. And the police were like, which is kind of funny that the police are like, yeah, we can't really see in there. Like
you don't have a flashlight?
We'll just go tomorrow.
Like, what if somebody gets
like,
rid
what
of
if
it?
somebody
Was
saw
watching
these
us.
kids discover this and then goes back and retrieves all that and it's gone?
The 40s.
But you know what? At least they didn't, I guess. So there's that. So when they did go back, they also had with them Sergeant Richard Scarrett, Constable Jack Pound, and Sergeant Jack Wheeler. Lots of Jacks. So the pathologist that was on scene was Professor James Webster. And he was like apparently very well known in the book that I read. Like there's a whole chapter on him and like his whole life and all his...
Your home should show off who you are. Now is the time to boldly write the newest chapter in your home story. And your main character? It's Ashley. Ashley has styles that balance timeless appeal and modern trends to bring your personal look home. Yes, these are well-crafted and affordable pieces with eye-catching design, but they're also built to stand up to real life. With features like stain-resistant performance fabric, options that are incredibly durable, easy to clean, and stain-resistant with machine-washable covers. Plus, Ashley provides fast, reliable, white-glove delivery right to your room of choice, so you can style your space without any stress. Ashley was nice enough to send us a bunch of new pieces for my pod lab at my house, and when I tell you they deliver it to your room of choice, unfortunately they did have to deliver to the attic, but they could not have been nicer about it. I got, or was gifted, I should say, the Revion Lake sofa and love seat. It's in this like olive colored velvety fabric. It's so nice. I will say it is so freaking easy to clean because if you know me, you know that I have a white cat and a black cat and then a multicolored cat. The white cat loves to just roll all up on this furniture and leave his hair everywhere, but it's so easy to vacuum. I also got the Maylee coffee table. So I have that, like I said, in my attic, but I'm ready to order another one for my living room because this coffee table is so beautiful. It has this like antique old money vibe to it. I absolutely love it. And then finally, I got three actually of the core stone end tables. They have little shelves in them so you can dress them up and, kind of like personalize them to your style. I highly, highly recommend all of the pieces that I got. And I just recommend Ashley in general. It was such an easy process to shop with them and the delivery, all of that from start to finish. It was awesome. Visit your local Ashley store or head to ashley.com to find your style. Getting paid twice a month doesn't mean money is scarce. It just feels that way. That feeling makes you do weird stuff, like putting things on a card you didn't need to. Earnin removes that feeling. With Earnin, you can access up to $150 per day of money you've already earned, plus up to $1,000 between paychecks. Standard transfers take 1 to 2 business days with no mandatory fees, and expedited transfers start at $3.99 and cap at $5.99. 5 million people are already on it, and honestly, it's wild it didn't exist sooner. Download Earnin on the App Store or Google Play, spelled like earning money without the G. Type in Morbid under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank. Access limits are based on your earnings and risk factors. Standard cash outs take 1 to 2 business days with no mandatory fees. Expedited transfers available for a fee. Tips are voluntary and don't affect the service. Available in select states. Terms and restrictions apply. Visit earnin.com for full details.
Accolades and all that. He's an impressive character.
Get it, Jack.
They also had Detective Superintendent Sidney Innite, I believe. And he was the senior investigating officer that was in charge of the body, the scene, and the investigation. So when Webster retired, actually, like just speaking about how amazing he was, the pathologist, he was described as, quote, the greatest detective of them all. His evidence sent more murders to the scaffold than any other pathologist in Britain.
Wow.
And they said that he was one of the most brilliant pathologists in Britain.
What an honor.
So they had top notch.
That's like a pretty big deal just to be like, oh, hey,
it's a pretty big deal.
The best detective we ever
Britain.
had.
Yeah. Literally we've
Britain's
ever had.
Britain's pretty big.
Yeah. One would say.
One would say it's great.
It's pretty big. It's great. So police checked the trunk of the tree and they found an almost complete skeleton. Almost. Okay. Not totally.
The teeth were definitely still there.
They were there, as Ash is really focusing on these teeth. And don't worry, we're going to talk about the teeth because there is some interesting things with the teeth. I thought
so.
Yeah. It's not very interesting, but it's a unique thing. There was also a shoe in the tree trunk with her and a gold wedding ring and some fragments of clothing. And according to Professor Webster, he said, quote, it would appear probable that the pair of shoes, because they found another shoe going with that pair a little ways away from the tree.
Oh, wow.
So he said it would appear probable that the pair of shoes, one recovered from the bole of the tree and the other at some distance, are connected with this body. As we'll see later, and not as we'll see later, but if you read certain sources, people question that a lot, whether these shoes were actually connected to her.
Because when we get to it, she is pretty old, right? She'd been in the tree a while.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they think so. They're not positive how long.
But I feel like it would be weird that one of her shoes was in the tree and then one was far away and stayed far away for a little bit. It just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, it could have been that the shoe was in the tree with her and then an animal moved it far away. True. And then, things can stay in a wooded area. Something can stay just chilling for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of things that point to it being a little strange that these are her shoes. The body was then sent for forensic examination by James Webster, and he said that he knew without a doubt that this was a woman, this skeleton.
He knew that this woman was a female.
This was a female skeleton by all accounts. And when he went through, the aging and everything like that and time of death and cause of death, that was when things became a little hairier.
Well, and I would assume back then, I'm sure that was pretty hard to do.
Yeah. And what he said that he was comfortable saying that she had been dead and in that tree somewhere between 18 months and 3 years.
Yeah. So that's
it's a pretty
big stretch.
Big stretch. But he was I literally can't narrow it down any further than that. That's.
It's a big stretch and it's not. You know what I mean? For back then, that was pretty good.
And honestly, they do that today.
Right.
It's just bones can only tell you so much. They're great for telling you very, minute details and some things that you definitely need to help with that. But when it comes to this kind of thing, it's
and being
forensics
outside
was really not in its heyday here.
No.
Yeah, in the elements. And then the trunk of the tree that she was in, because I'll talk about how small it was and everything, it kind of created its own environment in that tree where it's warm and it just, I don't know, it just
would that have speeded up
decom? It can definitely hasten the whole, so it really throws things off. But he said that the time of death was in or before October 1941. That's all he could really say.
All right.
He said that he thought she was probably around 35 years old. They used a ton of different parts of her skeleton to really tell what the age was. They used cranial sutures, teeth, pelvic bones, and others to determine this. And what Dr. Webster said was, quote, "You can discard completely anyone under the age of 25. I am satisfied about that. This woman, unfortunately, has not undergone the usual routine joining up of her bones, but I am equally certain that the other limit is 40 years of age. Further, I gave as an estimate probably 35 years of age, but I cannot be definite as on the other 2 points, but my impression is that she is on the 40 side of 35 rather than on the 30 side of 35.
So I'm supposed to find the mean of all those numbers? Is that what you're telling me?
He's like, she's younger than 40. She's older than 25. I would say she's closer to 40 than she is to 30.
Sure.
So that 35, I think, is a pretty good, compromise.
I love it. I
think you did a good job.
Math.
And she had what they described initially as mousy brown colored hair.
That's rude.
Because there was some
Straight up rude.
But at one point in an interview, one of the doctors did say the girl had ginger hair. So
she's a ginge.
She could have been a ginge, and what could have happened was she could have had ginger hair that kind of faded into brown over decomposition can definitely change what hair looks like.
Really?
Yeah, so they were kind of, going between those two. And I guess sometimes brown hair can look a little more ginger during decomp, so it's
that's interesting.
Yeah, so they were wavering a little bit on that. And they believed at first that she was 5 feet tall, and they thought that she might have had one pregnancy. And they said they weren't positive of that, but he said he felt comfortable at least questioning if she had one pregnancy.
How would you be able to tell just through the bones that, I know you get hips when you're pregnant, but
yeah. Well, the reason you get hips, after, all of a sudden, I have definitely seen that in action, that all of a sudden I'll put on one of my old pair of pants and I'm like, oh, okay.
Says the girl that can still fit in her wedding dress.
Or an old dress, though, and you go to pull it over your hips and you're like, those weren't there before.
Yeah.
The hips aren't just love handles or anything. They're literally, your pelvic bones have spread open.
That's so
to allow
crazy.
that child room, and they're sitting on your pelvic bone at one point during pregnancy, so it's it spreads the whole thing wide open.
See, I didn't realize that your bones actually moved when you were pregnant.
Yeah, they definitely. And then there's also I can't remember what the names are, but there's certain tendons that they believed, especially back then, that would kind of tear off the pelvic bone, and it would cause scarring on the bone itself.
Yeah.
They did mention, though, there's certain studies that will say, things like horseback riding can cause that to happen, though. There's variants that can make it so, it might look like somebody had a child, but
they may not have.
So
that's cool.
I think that's where he was back then. He was like, oh, it kind of looks like she might have, but I don't know. One of the other things that Ash will be excited to hear is that she had very unique teeth. So, and don't worry, we'll get into it. So, like we said, the skull had a lot of good evidence attached to it. Teeth, hair. It's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And she was missing a couple teeth, but they said 2 of the teeth that were missing had come out in the tree. Or not in the tree, but after her death.
They could determine that.
And one of them was removed through a dental procedure, maybe a year before her death.
Oh, okay.
So what he wrote in his report about the skull was in 2 parts, consisting of the head, which lay exposed on the floor of the tree bowl, and the lower jaw, which was in line with the disarticulated vertebrae, the spine, under the overhanging entrance to the hollow bowl. So her mandible was, disarticulated from the rest of her skull. Mm-hmm. He also said, and this is very interesting, and this is the thing a lot of people are like, who? So he said when they got the skull, there was a big tuft of taffeta fabric that had been stuffed into her mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's telling.
So immediately he was like, that could be, and he said it was stuffed, enough of it, and stuffed far enough back that it would have caused suffocation.
Oh, geez.
So he said, quote, tightly pressed over the lower jaw in the cavity of the mouth, I found part of the khaki or mustard-colored dress that the deceased was wearing at the time of her death. So far as this thrust over the teeth margin and so firmly adherent to the teeth was this part of the apparel that I do not consider it likely, I cannot say impossible, that this came into the mouth accidentally after death. It appears much more probable that this has been forced into the mouth prior to death, and if so, this would have been capable of causing death from asphyxia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd
So
be a horrible way to go.
Exactly. Like, so he's saying, this doesn't look like it just happened to end up in her mouth after death. Like,
That'd
that
be
doesn't
pretty
make
weird.
sense. And what it's seeming more and more like is that that was shoved into her mouth and then she was stuffed into this tree and just
Like alive.
asphyxiated. Yeah. Now, there was a portion of the hyoid bone that they found in the bowl of the tree as well, but Webster said that it looked like the reason it was broken was because animals had probably gotten to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, because her head had basically, after she had decomposed and, rotted, essentially, her head kind of just tumbled off the rest of her body. And they think
Lovely.
that's when it kind of broke. So it doesn't really suggest strangulation. And
Right.
even we've mentioned in like a recent episode too,
It
that
doesn't always
doesn't
break.
always point to it either way. So after they kept investigating around the area after they had found her in the tree, and they did find the remains of one of her hands, a tibia, and then I believe they found a femur close by.
Ugh, femurs freak me out.
But she was missing her right hand, and they never found it.
Interesting.
From the measurement of the trunk in which the body had been discovered, he said there was really no way that she would be able to be put into this tree after rigor had set in.
Yeah.
So he said she had to have been warm. It had to have been before rigor or very much after rigor had already broken.
Right.
And he said this to him said that she was killed very close to the tree or died in the tree. Because either she was brought there and this person had her, like, either she was brought there very quickly and this person had a method to bring her there very quickly, like a car.
Yeah.
Or she was killed right outside of the tree or in the tree by stuffing that thing in her mouth.
That's like very scary.
Because I guess the opening was only 24 inches by 12 inches. And then it was when I looked up what 24 inches by 12 inches really looks like.
Bad at like
It's like a hamster cage.
what?
Yeah. So it's really not that, like a big hamster cage.
That's nuts. I'm glad you said that because I'm so bad at
I
estimating.
am too. So I was like, I got to look up exactly
So, like-
visually what this looks like. It's very small. And she had been put in their feet first. So it's, yeah. And so he said one thing too, a lot of people knew about these woods, Hagley Woods, and this, these kind of trees in particular. So he said he felt like the person was local because they knew this was an area that maybe she wouldn't be found for a while in. And in Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm Volume 1, they suggest that maybe this was a secondary dump site and she was moved after decomp had set in. And this could be true, but it's like, so there's parts of it that seem like it could be true that this could be a secondary dump site, but then parts of the notes of the investigators mention that some of the roots of the tree inside had like continued to grow and had like intertwined with some of her decomposed clothing.
Right.
So she
had
was
been
there
there for a
decomposing
while.
for a while.
Right.
So it's like,
And how many people are going to move a body like while it's decomposing?
you literally just took the words out of my mouth.
Oh,
because
wow.
my next thing when I was thinking about it was like, if she's fully decomposing, that's not easy to handle.
No.
It's not easy to handle. And it's like, of course people are gross and terrible and
Like,
have
it's
done
definitely
worse
possible.
things. But it's like stuffing her in a tree while she's decomposing. I know murder is not logical, but I can't imagine a lot of people wanting to handle a completely like putrefying corpse.
Yeah.
Too far into putrefaction. And then it's also going to be difficult because if she's decomposing and you're shoving her into that tiny hole, bits and pieces of her are going to be
Falling off.
embedded into that opening.
Yeah.
And they didn't see that.
Right.
So it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
No.
Some more findings around the site was a pelvic bone, a right femur, and a right fibula. So they were scattered in an area. But all in all, the bones were not all discovered. She was missing a few. Again, records are
The Sherwin-Williams summer sale is here. Get 30% off select paints and stains or 35% off their newest product, Emerald Symmetry, July 17th through the 27th. Whether you're looking to refresh your interior or your exterior, they've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
weird from back then, and it's also kind of confusing to understand if she's decomposing in this trunk for however long she was. It's weird that no one passing through this wood would have smelled her decomposing.
I was going to ask that.
Or seen a massive amount of insect activity swarming on this tree.
Right.
And this was a place people would walk through or be at least around the perimeter of, and the smell definitely would have permeated to outside people walking around the woods. And the records also say that she was just bones and hair, so her flesh was totally gone. And the only thing I could think was that this woman was murdered, allowed to decompose for a significant amount of time wherever she was, or in a place that was rife with insects and high temps and things that accelerate decomp. And then her skeleton was placed in the tree.
Yeah.
But that, then you
Even
think
that
about
is
the
weird.
Right? It's like, so that's the
And
only
like
thing
you
I
said,
can think of.
the roots of the tree were intertwined with her clothing. I think she was in there from the get.
Yeah, it's just a strange, none of it really adds up. So let's talk about her teeth, because I have told you that she had a unique dental pattern.
Show me your teeth.
So in the maxilla, which is the top jaw, the left lateral incisor and the second right molar were missing. But like I said, Dr. Webster said in his records that they were there when she died and must have just fallen out or been like bumped out or something. They were never found. So there is some speculation that they either fell out in transport or that the murderer stole them, because there could have been like dental work done in them, which would have identified her, or there could have been maybe valuable material like a gold filling or something like that he stole from them. They were all her teeth were in pretty good condition. There was a couple, like one or two, that had signs of like a cavity.
Yeah,
you know?
the huge.
Yeah, but what wasn't taken into account in a lot of the records, which is strange to a lot of people, especially in the two books I was reading, they are questioning it like hard, was that her two central incisors, so her two front teeth, they're very prominent. They are described very big. And
It's rude again.
And they're very crooked.
Okay.
And when I say crooked, I mean one is almost entirely over the other.
Oh, okay.
It is projected outwards and it's like fully over the other one.
Oh.
So it would be something that people would notice about her.
Yeah,
like this isn't one of those like, look, my tooth is crooked, and you're like, no, it's not.
Like it really was.
When I say it really was, like when you look at the skull, we'll post a picture of the skull. It's almost entirely overlapping the other tooth, and it's projected out. So it would have been something that you would have noticed the second
It's
she
a
started
distinguishing factor.
talking. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just something like you would have been like, oh, like she has that.
Right.
And if they were to say that in their records and like really make a point of like this very unique thing about her two front teeth, people who knew her would definitely remember that about her.
Yeah.
Like they'd be like, oh, that's unique to her.
That's like so-and-so.
But they didn't really make a huge thing about that. They more concentrated on the fact that in her lower jaw, a couple of her lower teeth were like slightly overlapping each other, but not even really noticeably.
Weird.
I don't know why they focused on that part, but not
The big part.
Yeah. And I don't know if it doesn't make any sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to anybody, really, when you look back on it, because you're like, you really should have focused. In fact, they posted photos of the teeth in like newspapers and such, and like in news reports.
Yeah.
To try to get people to be like, this is what the teeth look like. Do you know somebody whose teeth looks like this?
Right.
At one point, they only posted the mandible.
Huh.
And it's like, that's not the... And maybe they did it because one of her teeth had been removed in a dental procedure down there. So maybe they were trying to point that out.
Find the dentist that did it.
The central incisors in the top jaw are the thing that I would have focused on.
Weird.
But I wasn't working the case. So,
well, what were you doing?
Things fall by the wayside when I'm not working a 1940s case.
I know that you were alive back then.
I was.
Why didn't you just pop on over?
I guess I was busy. I don't really know. Well, what they did with the teeth was they started a nationwide search of all dental practices. And they put out an inquest. They wrote all the stuff about the teeth. And they were like, tell us if you've seen anything like this. Because they said that that tooth had been removed probably like a year before her death. It was pretty close to when she had died. So that should have been a procedure done that would be still on record.
Right.
And no trace. No
Strange.
trace of any of these kind of procedures, nothing.
What if she took her own tooth out like a badass?
Maybe she did. I don't know. There was no evidence to say. I don't know if we have any dentists listening. Maybe you can tell by like bone or anything. Like if somebody had like traumatically ripped their tooth out, like not done it in a proper way.
Right.
But I'm not very sure. But again, they didn't mention those central incisors in the original dental inquest, which is a very strange thing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. In terms of the clothing that she was wearing, she was found, the clothing that was found was in pieces, essentially, like it was all very decomposed. But they found pieces of a corset, mustard or khaki colored skirt, which is what they used to suffocate her, like a piece of it.
Oh.
There was a slip, which they said was either peach or maybe like, I think they said like a fawn colored, but they couldn't tell because of how decomposed it was.
Yeah.
And a navy blue, what they described as cheap type of knickers.
That's nice of them.
They're pretty rude in these.
Yeah, for real. Like they're just doing her dirty.
But I think it's just like of the time.
Yeah.
And there was also a wool cardigan that matched the skirt. It had like
sounds
khaki.
like a really cute outfit.
It was like when they look at, a bunch of people have done like mock-ups of this outfit, like a drawing of it.
Was it cute?
And it looked like a cute 40s outfit.
Yeah,
it really did. But they also said that when it comes to like her status in life, because people were like, all right, what are we talking about here? Is this somebody in high society? Is this somebody who has, lived their life, in the streets? Is this somebody in between? Like, we got to try to narrow this down because we got to try to find her. Basically, what they said in their investigation was, she doesn't seem like she'd be like crazy high class. She's not like a crazy rich elite person, money wise, but like she's also not like, catching a ride on like a caboose somewhere, you know what I mean? Like she's somewhere in between.
She's like middle class probably.
And what they said was she is moreover a type of person who may have been rather neglectful as to her appearance and habits. They said this carious tooth, so the one with the cavity that was like kind of rotten, which she had caused her considerable pain and must have given her a nasty taste in her mouth.
Oh.
So it's like, okay, so she had a tooth rotting.
Yeah.
But maybe she was scared of the dentist.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're saying she was in pain, like, but again,
you could take
phobias.
Something. Yeah.
Like maybe you're just scared of the dentist. Or maybe she was in the middle class somewhere floating around the middle,
yet.
But still couldn't afford the dentist. Like maybe it was just, I don't know. It's hard to discern that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can't say she's neglectful because she's got one crappy tooth. Come on.
She's got one crappy tooth.
She's like, come on, fuck off.
Come on, don't judge her by her one shitty tooth.
We've all had a shitty tooth once or twice. You ever had a shitty tooth before? I have a couple of shitty teeth.
Funny?
That's why I'm using bite aligners.
Why is that so funny?
Sponsor us.
Oh. So going back to the shoes, because the shoes were a big, at first they were like, this is a big find. It's going to help us narrow shit down. But it's, a lot of weird stuff came from the shoes. So Dr. John Lund was another doctor who was given the clothing to examine. And Detective Inspector Tom Williams was the guy who was specifically given the charge of the shoes to go investigate this. There are photos of the shoes in that book that I mentioned, the 2 books. There's photos of them. You can also look it up online. The shoes were actually dark blue in color, although they had originally looked black and they thought that they were black. They were worn out, and they were worn out quite a bit. They were a size 5.5 English standard, and she was only believed to be 5 feet tall. And they actually later found out that she was probably more like 4'9", 4'10".
Wow. Yeah.
She was very small.
Petite.
And this would be considered a very big shoe for someone that size.
Okay.
So what was weird to them was they said, you know, these were very well worn out, but there was no sign that there was any kind of thing like padding in the shoe. Like if she wore these shoes, they would be huge on her.
Yeah.
So they were like, and they were worn out. So whoever wore these wore them a lot.
Right.
But there's nothing that would keep these on her foot. Like these would be a very uncomfortable thing to wear.
It's very strange.
So according to the Volume 1 book, on May 1st, they were able to identify the make and model of the actual shoe. And they were able to trace it back to the manufacturer. It was Clarence Bray Limited was the manufacturer. And their records show that this shoe in particular was, quote, a blue semi-chrome side Gibson shoe with 3 rows of pin punching on quarter and vamp. It was made on a 97 last with leather through crepe sole and fair stitch 4-part and crepe heel. I would never know what that is, but if you look at the picture, you're like, yeah, sure.
I was like, you are speaking gibberish.
There it is. It was made between April and June 1940. That's when it was manufactured.
Okay.
And they were able to track these shoes to the actual stores in the area that they were sold to. And they were even able to further narrow it down because they were able to see who sold those that size shoe.
Right, right.
So C.A. Allen Limited of Bilston, Staffordshire, they got 6 pairs of those shoes. Messrs. Ambrose Wilson Limited of London got 72 pairs.
They liked them.
And Messrs. Darnell and Son in Shoreditch, London, received 54 of those pairs.
Also liked them.
So not a crazy amount to look for. Like, one of them only got 6.
Well, you
So
could
it's
do
like,
that in like a day.
Yeah, so they went around and they started talking to these shop owners, and they were getting a better understanding of how popular these shoes were. And they found that locally, these shoes were definitely a quick sell. So they were going to sell out pretty quick. And they likely would have sold out right when they got them, essentially.
So they were like fashionable shoes?
They were just like, they were cute shoes, and they were also just like, I think, comfortable. They were fairly priced. And they were, you know, you could wear them for a while.
Okay.
I think they were just good shoes,
Okay.
essentially. So the investigators now think that they likely were bought around the date of June 1940. And that's when they were made and sent into stores. But remember, they said there's a good amount of wear and tear on these shoes. And what they estimated about 6 months of good hard wear was on these shoes. So the earliest she was in that tree was June. And likely closer to December 1940. And that would put her a little over 2 years dead before being found in that tree.
Okay.
Because they were trying to use the shoes and the 6 months of wear on those shoes and when the shoes would have arrived in the stores to kind of estimate when she would have bought them, the 6 months of wearing them, and then her ending up dead.
Fit.
But because we're not positive these are her shoes, it really it makes you think a little bit.
Also,
but again, they weren't proven to not be her shoes either.
It's so weird, like, talking about the shoes and like talking about her like buying them and being alive and like putting so much wear into them, and then they were found in a tree.
Yeah.
Like, there's something so creepy about that.
There's a lot of creepiness in that.
Yeah.
There definitely is. So now that they have all of this information, and really from like Dr. Webster's like really comprehensive look and all the inspectors working on this, they really tried to they didn't have a lot to work with.
They really did.
They really didn't. They're giving it their best shot.
I feel them
job.
trying. I feel them giving it the old college try.
So they cobbled together a description of.
Okay, let's have some real talk, just one-on-one for a second. I know you know this feeling. You start your period and the only pad that you have available is uncomfortable. It's like crunchy and weird. We can literally start our car from our phones, but we're still settling for crunchy, uncomfortable pads. Girl, listen, when you're looking for softness and protection, Kotex has you covered. They are changing the game with a completely redesigned lineup of pads and liners that are designed around what women actually want, like Kotex Bamboo. Kotex Bamboo has a 100% bamboo-derived viscose top layer that provides ultra soft protection, which means you don't have to worry about feeling itchy or uncomfortable. It's like the worst feeling ever. It's gentle on the skin and it's made without fragrance too. Check out Kotex.com for more details on the new and exciting launch of Kotex Bamboo, available in regular, heavy, overnight, and daily liners. Every flow covered. Now available at retailers nationwide.
Or, you know, what she was wearing, where they think she was in life, like her shitty tooth, everything. And the Worcestershire Constabulary got together a campaign to spread the word to try to coax out her identity. They were like, someone's got to know who she is.
Right.
They asked anyone to come forward, any witnesses, anyone who could know her, but no one came.
Weird.
Not one person. They looked through 3,000 missing persons reports around the country. Nothing.
What?
Couldn't find anything that went with it. And it was actually it wasn't until a year after her discovery, on March 28th, 1944. This is when the Who Put Bella in the Wych Elm thing became a thing. So at first they put all this stuff out, they asked for anything, nothing happened.
Right.
It was just kind of like, what do we do?
That's crazy to me.
But then a year later, a man named Wilfred White saw writing on the wall near his home.
Spooky.
And it was in chalk.
Spooky.
And it was handwritten, and it said, Hagley Wood Bella. That's all it said.
Uh-huh.
And another one was written on another wall in Birmingham, and it said, Who put Bella down the Wych Elm? Hagley Wood.
This was Banksy.
This was amazing. A few days later, on March 30th, a guy named James W. Rowley saw another one on a wall on Hayden Hill. And it said, Who put Lou Beller in the Wych Elm?
What does that mean?
I don't know. So they were all in chalk, and they all had the same or similar handwriting, and the styles were like weird and similar. So they were able to determine when they looked at the chalk, I guess later, that it was the same chalk and it was the same handwriting.
Weird.
And this was put in the paper because people were like, who the fuck did this? But this caused a bunch of like copycats to pop up. People were doing it everywhere now. But then on August 1944, on a subway wall, same writing, same chalk, it said Hagley Wood Lubella, address opposite the Rose and Crown, Hasbury.
What's that mean?
So they were like, what the fuck does that mean? Well, on August 3rd, 2 days later, on a fence, like this wooden fence, it's really creepy, the picture of it. They found the same writing in chalk, and it said, address was opposite Rose and Crown, Hasbury, Hagley Wood Lubella.
I hate it.
So they're like, what the fuck? On the same day, on a wall nearby, they saw the same chalk, same handwriting, Hagley Wood Lubella was no pros. And what that is, because when I saw it, I was like, what? What does that mean? That is slang for quote-unquote prostitute.
That's what I was going to ask.
So they were saying she was no sex worker. That's what they were saying. Which to me is interesting, because when we get into like theories, I think she might have been a missing sex worker.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think that's why she hasn't been identified yet, because I think
it made it.
It was, and I think it seems to fit one, at least that's what I think.
Okay.
So now remember, this is around the time that a little thing called World War II is happening.
Right.
And it ended in 1945. So this is right when everything's going on. So the world, when it ended in 1945, the following year, the world was much more concerned with like dealing with that and like coming back into terms with everything and like welcoming these, you know, getting these soldiers home and like coming back from all of it. This small town murder kind of faded into the background.
Which is sad.
Yeah, it got thrust back into the shadows, which sucks. But then in 1984, in a parking garage, somebody wrote, Who put Bella in the Wych Elm?
Spooky.
In 1993, that the phrase, Who put Bella in the Wych Elm, was put on the Witchbury Obelisk in Hagley. And that's the famous big obelisk. It's like the big stone monument. It's the one that you see in this case every time you Google it. It's like that big stone monument that says who put Bella in the Wych Elm.
Yeah.
That's when that happened in 1993.
It gives me like the chills.
Now, what's weird, just a quick, like really quick update. November 2020, the very famous one on that obelisk was changed. That somebody crossed out who and wrote hers.
Hers put Bella in the Wych Elm?
Yes. Which nobody can really, I guess there is like a graffiti artist called Hers.
Oh.
But everybody's like, what? Would that make sense?
But then again, that could have been anybody
it could have been anybody.
Right.
But that's what people are like, what?
Yeah.
It's just a strange, and it was in November 2020, so it wasn't that long ago. So in 1944, there was a police report, and it was a missing person by the name of Bella.
Uh-huh.
She disappeared 3 years before 1944.
Hello.
Which is when?
1941.
Yes. She was a sex worker who she had apparently worked on Hagley Road. Mm-hmm. Nothing was ever really found about this.
That's it.
It's in a police report. They never found her. Her name is Bella. Why would Bella be the name that would suddenly come up?
Well, that's the thing.
I mean, obviously people will point to like Bella means beautiful and like beauty and all that. Like maybe that's what people were doing, but like what a weird coincidence and what a name to pick.
Yeah, that is very strange.
You know, like to just throw Bella out there and Lou Bella.
Right.
Like,
well, and a lot of times we call unidentified people obviously Jane Doe. Like, why wouldn't we just say like who put Jane in the Wych Elm?
Yeah. It's like very, yeah.
It is telling.
To me, it seems like especially back then, they weren't looking into sex workers disappearing.
No, of course
not. You know,
not.
like we have trouble. I mean, the Willie Picton episode will show you anything. We still have issues with that in this world. And it's like back then they definitely weren't looking into it. And it's like that kind of just went by the wayside. Mm-hmm. So there's no description of her. It doesn't seem like she had anybody close to her that they could contact. And like, it just kind of went by the wayside. But it's like the timing works out, the location works out, the name works out.
So, I mean, that's a lot of things that fit into the puzzle.
And it's like, was it someone who knew her or someone who was told the story and decided to put that out there?
Right.
Because it's like, it's strange. Because in 1944, it's like all these who put Bella in the Wych Elms were happening. So it's like, it makes sense if it was reported in 1944.
It does.
It's just strange.
It's weird.
There's also a like quick little mention of like, and I didn't find anything else about it, that there was a police report around that time that she was found where like 2 guards were in Hagley Wood because they were on the Hagley Wood estate and they were doing like rounds and they came across like a car late at night coming into the woods, which was weird.
Yeah.
And when they went up and like kind of asked the
out.
window, like they like knocked on the window and the guy rolled down the window. I think he was an officer of some sort.
Or was he just dressed
he
as
wasn't
one?
like, he was acting a little strange and they said somebody else was in the car and it was like somebody who was huddled up on the seat and not moving.
Oh.
And then like they assumed she was sleeping, so they were like, okay. And they were like, you just got to get out of here. And he was like, okay.
Weird.
But nothing was ever followed up on that.
Right. That's creepy.
So it's like, who was that?
Yeah, and like
And
huddled
was that
up on the sleep, like huddled up on the seat, sleeping or terrified or dead. Yeah,
like because they said I think there was like a blanket or something around them.
That freaks me. The
Yeah,
fuck out.
it's just those kind of things. You're like, because we're gonna get into a couple of like crazier theories too, and it's like I think it's something pretty simple. I think it's something
usually
like,
it's always the simplest
terrible
answer.
Nonetheless, but like more simple than like witchcraft or anything like that. I think it's like.
Even like when we did the episode with Paul Holes and Billy Jensen and we were talking about the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders and Paul brought up how we were like, it was so weird that they were placed so far like from the campsite near the road. And then he was like, well, yeah, like maybe somebody had a getaway car. Like,
and that the getaway car didn't come. So they just had to like abandon.
Like getaway car running late. Very simple answer.
Because
didn't think of that.
Because when we were talking about it, we were like, well, he cleaned up some of the blood and stuffed the sheets down in the sleeping bag. Why would he do that?
Right.
And I was like, they're just going to find the sheets. Like, you didn't hide them well. And he was like, well, they were probably planning on taking them with them. And I was like, Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's why you're the detective and I'm not.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's like, it really is. It's like you have to like program your brain to like
just simplify it.
Look at it, what it is, not try to like totally overanalyze. And it's hard to do. So
the human brain, I think, makes things way more
we
complicated.
do. We fill in pieces when we don't need to.
Yes.
So in 1945, a woman by the name of Margaret Murray, an anthropologist and archaeologist from the University College London, she actually worked there till she was 72 years old, by the way. That's when she retired. I was like, damn. She was known as she was a well-known archaeologist and anthropologist, but she was also known to be fascinated and very knowledgeable about the history and anthropology surrounding witchcraft. And this theory became very prevalent. Like, people know all about this theory. It's known as the witch cult hypothesis. And it's bullshit, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it was brought forward. It brought this into a fantastical realm.
Yes.
When I think it didn't need to be.
Right.
Because I think this is just a pretty gnarly, clear-cut murder. But, like, we don't need to bring, like, magic into it.
Of course we do.
But do you remember, like I said, that Bella was missing her right hand?
Yes.
And they were like, what the hell is that? Well, they did end up finding the bones of her right hand partially buried quite a bit away from the...
That's kind of weird.
And they thought maybe it had been buried through the elements
or
animals. You know, that's very likely. Well, Margaret thought that this was purposeful. See, there's a ritual in dark magic, apparently, called the Hand of Glory, where bones are scattered to the wind. So she said that this was likely an occult ritual that was done on Bella, who was a witch. And she said a spell would be done, and then after, they would sacrifice her. And when they sacrificed her, her hand would be removed from her arm, and it would be left 13 paces away from her body. There are, of course, sources that say that hand was buried 13 paces away from the tree. There are other ones that say there is no evidence of that.
Do we really think that the detectives on scene, like, counted the paces?
No, I don't. No. And that's why... and she also thinks that the choice of tree was very significant because witch elms play an important part in the dark arts.
Here's a quick podcast for all you true crime fans. The case of the missing Reese's. It was me at the store with my mouth. Motive? They're Reese's. What was I going to do? Stop myself? Tune in next time to see if I do it again. Spoiler, I will. Wow, that had everything. Reese's, suspense, Reese's.
And trees also, when it comes to like paganism and like, you know, any kind of thing like that, trees do like have connections to like souls and binding magic and binding spells and stuff. So she really went with that. There was also apparently belladonna around this area that which is the ancient name for deadly nightshade.
Right.
And that's a plant that's closely associated with witchcraft. So she kind of put this all together and was like, this is obviously an occult ritual that happened.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I feel like there is sufficient evidence to consider it at the very least.
There was also like, you know, groups and families of travelers in the areas that they wanted to try to blame this on.
Of course.
That either she was one of them, like part of their family,
and
that something happened and she was murdered and sacrificed, or that she was an outsider and was attacked. But no evidence. This is literally
there's nothing for
that.
But
But you'll find it in so many places, people just conjecturing about this. Now, the occult theory, like the witchcraft theory, was cranked up a notch, because on February 14th, 1945, on very nearby Meon Hill, there was a man named Charles Walton who was 74 years old. I believe he was a farmer, and he was murdered.
Oh.
And it was a strange murder. So his autopsy showed that he was severely bludgeoned by his own walking stick.
Oh.
He had a ton of lacerations on his arms from trying to fight off his attacker. and then his throat was sliced wide open by a sickle blade.
What?
And it was still in his neck when he was found. They had left the sickle.
That is terrifying.
And he was discovered skewered to the ground by a pitchfork.
What?
Yes. Like an actual, like, pitchfork skewered him into the ground through his chest.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so, of course, people were like, this is the work of the devil.
I mean,
like, this is it. And
that's warranted.
and it's unsolved.
What?
So they were assuming that in this area there was some shit
related.
going down. And since these are too strange, because it's like, yeah, finding someone concealed in the woods is not that wouldn't ring any bells of like,
In
this
a
must
tree?
be cult ritual. In a tree is definitely a different feel.
Yeah.
I feel, and of course it's like calling it the Wych Elm and stuff. It gives it like a whole nother
But
vibe.
still.
And it's like, of course it is two strange murders and two strange like scenes.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I can give them that. I don't think that Bella was killed by occultists. I just don't.
I don't know.
That's me. And like I say, the people who are blaming like the travelers in the area and like those families, I think that was just an easy scapegoat to be like, well, they were in the woods sometimes, so I bet they did it. And we don't know anything about them, so they must be evil.
Bears are in the woods too sometimes, but I don't think a bear did it.
And again, no evidence of this. But then in 1953, something interesting happened.
Kudos.
A journalist named Wilfred Byford Jones investigated. He went into this, and he said in his thing was he definitely didn't believe the travel theory, and that the traveler theory was like gaining steam.
Oh.
And I think so, like in steam in the sense that no evidence was.
People were like buying
but people were
into
like,
it.
that must be it,
Right.
And so he was really trying to dispel this because he was like, I just think
dangerous.
and he was like, it's dangerous and we're looking at the wrong thing.
Right.
And he was like, he was like, we have to get away from this witchcraft bullshit and we have to get away from this traveler theory because these aren't what happened and we're not looking at the real case
Evidence.
because we're all getting like mystified by this like crazier thing.
Right.
So he actually said in an article he published in the paper, I do not accept it about the traveler theory. And he said, every crime is laid at the door of the Romanes. Because he was like, it's true. It's just an easy scapegoat.
It is.
So then he wrote this, he published this whole thing, and then he received at the newspaper a letter days after publishing this research and thoughts. And what it said, it was by a woman, it was signed from a woman named Anna. And it said, finish your articles, the Wych Elm crime by all means, on the Wych Elm crime by all means. They are interesting to your readers, but you will never solve the mystery. The one person who could give the answer is now beyond the jurisdiction of earthly courts. The affair is closed and involves no witches, black magic, or moonlight rites. Much as I hate having to use nom de plume, I think you would appreciate it if you knew me. The only clues I can give you are that the person responsible for the crime died insane in 1942, and the victim was Dutch and arrived illegally in England about 1941. I have no wish to recall anymore. Anna.
Whoa.
So of course they get this and they're like, okay, so you're telling me that Bella was Dutch.
Yes.
You're telling me that the person who killed her is dead and died insane, apparently.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Tell me everything.
Like, does she have a car? And so they begged. They were like, Anna, come forward. Like, please. So they put it in the paper, like, please, Anna, just come forward.
But
tell
also,
us what you know.
That could be anybody writing in.
Anna showed up.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anna showed up. She showed up at the police station. She came. And she was like, I'll tell you what I know. So her real name was Una Hainsworth. And she was going by Anna because at first she was like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And she told them what she knew. She said she was formerly married to a man named Jack Mossop. And after he was like, fine, everything was good. They had a young son. They had gotten married. Everything was wonderful. But suddenly he just began like changing. He was drinking more. He was hanging out with unsavory characters. He was staying out late. He would suddenly have money when like they didn't know where it came from. Yeah. And he was hanging around a man called Van Ralt. And she also mentioned another man, but I can't find his name.
Yeah.
They were apparently kind of bad news bears,
Okay.
according to her.
Bad news bears.
And they were concerned. So one night, she said he came home from being out very late with Van Ralt, and he confessed to her that he and this Van Ralt character had put a woman in a tree.
Okay. Imagine if John came home
No.
to you and he says, I put a lady in a tree. I'd be like, well, you should walk right back the way that you came in and never come back again.
I feel like you should stick your own ass in a tree right now, because
Literally.
that's where I'm going to put you.
You're like, I have a true crime podcast.
Yeah.
I can't know this
I'm going to
information.
stick you in a tree. So Mossop and Van Ralt had apparently gone. Some versions of this have another man involved. I think it seems likely that there was another person. They had gone for a drink at the Littleton Arms, which was in Hagley. It's like a pub. Apparently this woman, who he referred to as the Dutch woman, was with them. And later that night, they're driving back, and her husband, Jack, was driving Van Ralt's car. And this Dutch woman, according to him, was in between the two men in the back seat. And he said the woman was drunk or acting very strange. She referred to it as was acting awkward.
Okay.
Which I was like, same.
Sounds like an awkward situation.
And she just suddenly passed out while driving, like flopped over onto one of them. Now, one story says that Van Ralt thought this was like, oh, I have a funny thing we can do, because she passed out. And he was like, let's put her in the hollow of the tree, and she'll wake up in the morning and be like frightened into changing her ways.
Oh, okay. Because who are you?
Which,
Change
what?
your damn ways, motherfucker.
That one doesn't seem as likely, but I think it was him trying to make it less
Make
nefarious.
it quote unquote innocent.
The other one says that while they were driving, Van Ralt told Jack that this Dutch woman, he was like, she's dead. Like she slumped over, and he was like, did she pass out? And he was like, no, she's dead. Which is like, did he poison her? Did he do something? And he told him, drive to Hagley Wood. He immediately was like, drive there. And then he forced Jack to help them stuff her into the tree.
Oh, man.
Now, he also was apparently so upset about this that he was sure he had just had a nightmare. He was like, this wasn't real. This didn't happen. So he went back to the tree the next night, and she was still there. So he had originally thought she was a German spy. Like, there's like spy theories that...
Well, it was during World War II.
Well, in one, I'm not going to go into the one that like a lot of people talk about, because it's been proven false. So there's just literally no reason to go into it. But the spy stuff just makes it even weirder. I just think it's crazy.
It's a lot.
So he started, according to her, after he told her this, things got bad, obviously, because she was like, what's happening? He started acting stranger and stranger, more and more erratic and volatile. So she left him. She took her son, and she was like, bye.
Well, it was probably eating away at him.
Well, he later told her so they divorced, and they still talked a little because he was having a lot of trouble with this.
She cared about him.
And he was saying that he was losing his mind because he kept having a recurring nightmare of a woman staring out at him from a tree. And when the police wanted to talk,
fuck you.
and he said, I'm having it every single night. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see this woman leering at me from a hollow of a tree.
Why did you say it again?
Leering at me from a hollow of a tree.
That's spooky.
Just staring at me from a hollow of a tree.
That's like,
It's like the Telltale Heart.
yes, it is.
But
It's
like-
the same thing, but like more scary.
But like a woman in a tree. So it's like the same thing.
That's so terrifying.
So the police, when she tells them all this, are like, hey, can we talk to Jack?
Yeah,
Like,
but he
where's
died,
Jack?
right?
Well, at this point, they didn't know that. They were like, what? They didn't know if she was telling the truth about that
Sure.
or what. And they were like, where's Jack? And she was like, well, he was committed to the Stafford Mental Hospital because of this. He couldn't, with those recurring nightmares, he was literally
Like losing his
it.
mind.
And he died at 29 years old in the hospital.
What?
And it was before the body in the witch helm had
Was
been
found.
found. So he knew she was there, and she hadn't been found, and that was making him go crazy.
Look at my arm.
Yes. Because honestly, and this is record. It's record that he died in this hospital.
Yeah.
It's record that he was complaining about these dreams. And if she had been found, I don't think that would have been the way, because I think he was having these because no one found her.
Right.
And no one was like, I think he probably would have felt some sort of relief if someone found her, but he was losing his mind because he knew she was there and no one knew. He was the only one who
You
knew
gotta
that.
tell someone, man.
You got to.
Too late.
Yeah. So on record, the way that Anna, I always say Anna because of Frozen.
Or is it Una?
Well, yeah, but she had originally said Anna, but yeah, it's Una. She had written about this. She said, I had no knowledge whatsoever of the Hagley murder until an article appeared in the Express and Star newspaper. Neither had I read anything before which I could in any way be connected with the incident I have told you about. I have not discussed the matter with anyone, and it was not until I was reading the details and bearing in mind the possible date when the woman met her death that I in any way connected with my husband's statement to me in March or April 1941, and because of the articles referring to witchcraft, etc., I decided in the first place to write a letter and sign it Anna. So she was saying because the witchcraft stuff was coming out and she was like learning the details about this woman being found, she was connecting it with her husband, and then she was like, I have to stop them from going further into this witchcraft bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it's just not true.
Right.
She wrote, I put sufficient clues in the letter which would have helped them identify me. And it was only because of a subsequent appeal in the newspaper and because I felt I ought to say what I know of this matter that I decided to arrange to meet you. So she was like, I sent it thinking I'm not going to say anything else. But when you guys asked me to come forward, I felt like
How could I
had to.
not?
Which to me is pretty it's pretty awesome of her.
Yeah.
So bringing us forward, because nothing really came of this. He's dead. They couldn't find Van Ralt. It's just, so it all just kind of went by the
it makes
wayside.
sense, though.
Well, in February 2018, a woman named Caroline Wilkinson was asked to recreate Bella's face based on her skull. She actually had rebuilt Richard III's face after they had found his remains under a parking garage in England.
God.
And apparently she was like amazing at this. She was a professor of craniofacial identification at Dundee University, had to use photographs to do this. Why did they have to use photographs to do this? Because they lost her skull.
How do you...
They lost Bella's skull.
What?
How do people lose these things?
Seriously, like, come on.
It makes me crazy.
Like, where do you misplace a human skull?
They lost the skull.
That's nuts.
In Birmingham counselor Peter Douglas Osborne, who is like very invested in the Bella case and is like considered an expert on it, said searches have been conducted by the police museum volunteers and they have confirmed that we hold no exhibits and can find no documentation that may relate to the case at either of the West Midlands police museums for the skull.
But like, where did it go, bro?
I don't know, and that makes me insane.
That's nuts.
Caroline Wilkinson was asked to do this facial reconstruction by the authors of the book I mentioned.
Oh.
And they were the ones to publish the facial reconstruction in the book. And it's crazy to look at. You're like, whoa, because
Really?
it's like the teeth and everything. You're like, that's her.
Yeah.
So we'll post photos, but like definitely check out those two books. I highly, highly recommend because they have so many cool like just features of the investigation in them. I'll post them in the show notes. But that's where we are. With Bella and the Witch Elm. We do not know who put Bella in the Wych Elm, but I am guessing it was Jack Mossop and Van Ralt.
Yeah, I think that we know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And-
I'm glad that we redid that one because I definitely feel like I learned a lot more this time.
Oh yeah, there was much more in this one, and I feel better about it.
Good job.
Thank you.
You're
and I hope
welcome.
you guys feel that way too.
And we
So-
also hope you keep listening.
And we hope you
Keep
it
weird. But
weird.
that's where you get drunk and stuff somebody in a witch elm, even though you're not sure if you poisoned them or not. Like, they just are dead.
Yeah.
Don't put anybody in a tree.
Don't do it.
That's the moral of the story.
Do you remember in school when your teacher had a favorite of everything? A favorite marker, a favorite element, and yes, even a favorite student. Who wasn't me, so let's move on. I want to talk about their real favorite thing. Kleenex tissues. According to teacher lists, Kleenex is the #1 facial tissue trusted by teachers. They're silky soft, help prevent skin irritation. And now, with Kleenex Snap and Go, you can take them anywhere. Stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
You know that feeling when you come home late from work and those puppy dog eyes just pierce right through your soul? Or when you're packing for a trip and your cat refuses to leave your suitcase? Yeah, we've all been there. Pet parent guilt is real. And you know what? It's completely normal.
That's exactly why Hill's Pet Nutrition exists. They understand that being a pet parent means being human, with all of our imperfections and daily juggling acts. Hill's science-led nutrition helps you give more love than humanly possible. Whether it's those long work days or trying to balance attention between multiple pets, Hill's Pet Nutrition gets it. They've created science-based nutrition that supports your pet's lifelong health so you can feel confident even when life gets hectic. Because you're only human, there's Hill's. Science does more. Ready to let go of the guilt? Find the right food at hillspet.com/podcast. That's hillspet.com/podcast.